I Don't Get It
Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to the I Don't Get It podcast. Today, we don't get free Britney. I mean, we do and we don't. We understand what the movement is about. There's a lot of hardcore Britney fans out there who believe that she's really being held against her will by her conservatorship, and that she is they're assuming, I think a lot of them, that she's mentally sound enough to be able to run her own life, her own finances, and maybe some of them also think that she needs a conservatorship, but it needs to be lessened. There's a lot to learn on this, and we're going to kind of keep a neutral perspective, ask our guests for their thoughts and the facts that they know. I don't know that anything can be like a true confirmed fact unless it's like in the legal papers that are out there
or we
regarding
see Britney
her
maybe speak out of her
conservatorship.
own mouth rather than people looking for signs through Instagrams or TikToks. But I mean, I stumbled upon this because I was actually watching our guest on the show today on TikTok, because he was pointing out cries for help in her TikToks and her Instagrams. And I'm, all about conspiracy theories and everything. I'll believe anything if you give me enough proof of it.
Our guest, Mars, those are what he calls conspiracy theories. He has certain TikToks that he likes to say are facts, and then he has conspiracy theory ones which have to do with like her Instagrams, which you can't prove that she's like calling out for help, and he wants people to know the difference between them. I'm going to let him explain this more. But we do realize that this is a serious issue. It sounds kind of like it could be does it sound like it's silly that a lot of fans are fighting for her rights right now?
I think it's a beautiful thing. First of all, the first thing I wanted to say when you started the podcast is we haven't even said her full name, which is Britney Spears, which is, but she's so
like
larger
iconic,
than life
and
iconic. She'll always be somebody that you can just say Britney and you know how she is. She's someone that most of us, I'm assuming listening, grew up with, idolize, listen to, or if you don't idolize, like have appreciated something that she's put out into the world. And I think I just think not only Britney, as we've seen with other celebrities as of recent, that have been dealing or struggling with whatever they are. I'm not going to name what anyone's struggling with, but if they're dealing with a mental illness or something, I really hope that the media just does a better job of how they portray the headlines. I think it's really scary to, I think I bring this up because I think at first, years ago, when Britney was posting on Instagram, a lot of people would mock, laugh. And I think, just like you're saying, Ashley, this is a very serious issue. And can you imagine having a mental illness at home and then watching the news or any person in the media describe someone that has something similar to you as crazy or unstable? Like that would make you want to never talk about it or think of yourself as that. Yeah. So I'm so interested to hear what both of these people have to say. I think just like you said, nothing's fact. I think we're just interested in this. Yeah. Because Lauren, you were saying earlier there's been protests for free Britney.
There is a new hearing to see if Britney is, quote, stable enough to like basically run her own life and needing a conservatorship. So there's a new hearing, and there was a protest today in LA. I'm not sure where, but I think by the courthouse where the hearing is being held. So it's like very under the radar. I think that there is a new hearing, and that's why this Free Britney movement is gearing up because of the new hearing.
So it's her mom is getting involved now. Her mom actually tried getting involved a year ago, and prior to that, they were like actually estranged, her and her mom. But her mom's been trying to get more involved in, her finances, especially over the past year. And when I mean finances, I mean giving Britney more power over them. Because right now, it's very controlled by not just her dad, but also somebody who is a professional conservator. And Mars is going to give us more of this information, but I was just talking before about how like I thought this was silly. I also don't want to use the word silly. I didn't think it was silly, but I think that I didn't take it seriously. And over the past 24 hours, as I've been doing research, it's a pretty serious topic. And
I just want to say Ashley's put in a lot of like time and work.
I keep going back and forth too.
No, I'm just saying, I think I really appreciate you, like us doing a podcast on this, because I think it is serious. And I think maybe people out there that do think it's frivolous or silly or whatever, maybe won't think that after this.
Right. 100%.
We're not asking you to pick a side. It's just a thing
I
that's
haven't picked a
happening,
side,
and we just want to hear about it.
We may not pick a side after this. We just want to deliver you, like, this is so fun. Like, so we're going to deliver you fair and balanced facts right now.
Well, we don't know if they're facts, but yeah, fair and balanced opinions, I guess.
All right, let's get Mars in here. All right, guys, we have TikTok star and Britney expert Mars Monroe on the line now. Hey, Mars.
Hey, what's up?
We are just excited to hear from you. So
You are
I'm excited
the
to talk to you guys.
expert.
So let's start. Let's start with the basic facts. What is a conservatorship for those who don't know?
Okay, so a conservatorship is a kind of legally binding contract that is usually reserved for people who are extremely elderly, mentally or physically disabled to a degree where they are a danger to themselves or others around them. And usually what it kind of entails is that you give up all of your adult rights to a caretaker. And that can be that's usually both financial and then also a personal caretaker. And that can maybe sometimes be the same person, or it could be multiple people undertaking different tasks.
Got it.
I have a question with that. So as an adult, aren't you it's your prerogative if you lose all your money? It's your
Pun
prerogative.
intended.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
if
wow.
if you like kind of fuck up your life, like why? And she doesn't seem like a harm to others. So is it just that? Why can't people just live their life and fuck it up on their own volition?
Well, it definitely depends. There are some dire circumstances where I feel like conservatorships are definitely necessary. I will say that there are plenty of countries outside of the US that do not have anything similar to a conservatorship. But I do think that it can be something that's very helpful. I do know people personally who are under conservatorships and who it's very necessary for.
Okay.
But I think that in Brittany's personal case, that it's something that is... all of the circumstances around the conservatorship are very fishy, I would say. It's very interesting the way that everything happened and the amount of time that this kind of has gone on. I think it's very unusual.
And we're so curious to hear all of it from you. Before we do a deep dive, though, Mars, can you give us a little bit of your resume and, how you came into, loving Britney and being on the side that you stand on?
Yeah, well, as far as who I am personally, I'm always the type of person who wants to be on the right side of justice. I always care about social justice issues, and anywhere that I see injustice, it's important that you use any sort of platform, no matter how big or small it is, to speak up for what's right. And when it comes to Britney personally, I've loved her since I was before I was 10 years old, as long as I can remember, because I feel like in a lot of ways, contrary to popular, media belief from the early 2000s, I feel like Britney Spears has always been a really, really good role model in the sense that she's been able for women, she's been able to kind of own her sexuality and be able to present it in a way that is tasteful and talented and passionate. And not only that, but I also feel like even when she was under duress, she was still trying to send the message to her fans to be able to be themselves, be who they are. Don't let people tell you what to be, or, how to act or who to be. And I mean, the amount of talent that woman has in her, in her pinky is more than most of us possess in our whole bodies. So I definitely have always respected her and admired what she has believed in and how she's presented herself since I was a child. And that's only grown over time. The reason why I chose to speak out about this issue is because although I've known about it for a while, I was hoping that with the Free Britney movement sparking last year, that things would change. Things would be a little bit different. We would have some improvement and hopefully she would get some freedom. But when I'm opening up the TikTok app and people are sitting there with, black eyeshadow all the way around their eyes and they've drawn a gap in their teeth and they're sitting there making fun of this woman who's 38 years old being given copious amounts of antipsychotic medication and has no rights, that's not okay with me. I don't think that it's okay to sit there and mock and bully someone in that way that cannot speak for themselves. And so I thought it was important to raise awareness for the issue in a way that people who wouldn't normally be kind of exposed to that would see it and really put things in perspective for those people. And that's the reason why I chose to speak out now about what's going on.
So I'm just so excited to talk to you guys one-on-one. Naz here. And I'm here to tell you guys it's not that fun going to the grocery store these days. Am I right? So I am actually going to tell you guys about a way that you can skip going to the grocery store and still have a delicious meal full of organic, fresh produce delivered straight to your door. The company is called Sunbasket. I'm sure you guys have seen it on some type of social media platform. The hype is real. I saw it, I got it, and I'm telling you guys, the ingredients are so clean. The produce is so organic. It is so fresh. It is better than how I would have picked it. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to tell you guys right now. I actually struggle with picking produce at the grocery store. Sometimes I'll look at the person next to me and I'm like, oh, which avocado are they picking? They probably know what a good avocado looks like. I sort of just go in and eyeball it and guess, and it's honestly not a way to live. I'm 30 years old, but now I don't even have to worry about that stuff because Sunbasket is delivering the fresh, the best straight to my door. So the meals are so delicious. They have recipes for all kinds of dietary preferences, including paleo, gluten-free, Mediterranean, vegetarian, and more, which I think most of you know is muy importante for me because I have a lot of stomach sensitivities. They make it really easy and convenient. So with everything pre-portioned and ready to prep and cook, which I love, like everything's just ready to go. So you can enjoy a full dinner of organic fresh produce and clean ingredients in as little as 15 minutes. I know some of us have a lot of time, but some of us, are just glued to the computer. We have kids or, we're still doing a lot of things. And sometimes being in the kitchen for every meal can be extremely time consuming, not to mention the dishes. Anyway, so no matter how much experience you have in the kitchen, it takes as little as 15 minutes. Each week, Sunbasket will deliver a wide range of meals to choose from. So you can try different dishes. I'll tell you guys my top 3 faves that I recently got. Hoisin steak strip lettuce cups with pickled daikon and carrots. I feel very fancy when I'm eating it by myself because, single life. My absolute favorite is the roasted salmon with miso glazed eggplant. I actually really love eggplant. I feel like it's a very underrated thing to eat. And I'm on that eggplant train, Also, they have black bean tostadas, Diablo with cabbage slaw and guacamole. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. You can order any of these meals across from their menu. You can actually skip a week if you're not, if you just don't want to cook that week, or you can double up on your favorites. It's really simple and easy. There's no gotchas with Sunbasket. So right now, guys, try Sunbasket. They're offering $35 off your order when you go right now to sunbasket.com/getit. Enter our promo code GETIT at the checkout. Again, that's sunbasket.com/getit. Enter the promo code GETIT at checkout for $35 off your order. That's so much money. Again, sunbasket.com/getit. Enter promo code GETIT and enjoy a delicious meal.
You mentioned at the beginning that you could have multiple conservators. Who are Brittany's conservators?
Okay, so it wasn't always this way. But as it currently stands, Jamie Spears, Brittany's father, is her financial and career conservator. So he is in charge of all of her finances and is also in charge of managing her career as far as that goes. He kind of co-works that with her business manager, Lou Taylor. So we, in the fan base, we call her Lucifer Taylor. But
okay, I was going to ask is he liked among the fans?
It's a woman.
It's a woman.
Oh,
it's a woman.
Lou.
But Lou, yeah. So Lou Taylor, she is widely disliked for many reasons. And Brittany's personal conservator is Jody Montgomery, who actually owns or co-owns a fiduciary a firm with her husband. And so they don't have any personal relationship. Brittany and Jody don't have any personal relationship, but basically at their firm, they specialize in conservatorships and mental health. So that's kind of what we've got going on here.
Got it. And so Mars, when did you first become aware of this, and where and how do you get all your information?
That's a very good question. So for the longest time, I think that there's this kind of misconception that just because I'm speaking out now that I'm the only person who has this kind of base information. Most of the information that I included in my original video is public knowledge. And a lot of the fans have known for over a decade. I mean, since this has been put in place, there have been cries for help. There have been whispers and rumors, and there's been proof and evidence of things going on behind the scenes that are not right. But when everyone is on a bandwagon, it's really hard to shift the narrative. I mean, and even to this day, I recently had a very negative experience with the Australian Today show where I was taken out of context and coached into giving answers about things that I did not include in my original interview prep. And they manipulated me into thinking that it was going to be something that was from a place that was heartfelt and kind. And it was a very big disappointment. And I think that just speaks to the narrative that is still being perpetrated about mental health to this day.
Right. Mm-hmm. So you've just been a big Britney fan. You've never actually worked for Britney, right?
So no, I've never worked for Britney. The base information that I had, like I said, is public knowledge, and most people could find that if they do a little digging. However, since my first video and since the subsequent videos, I have had lots of personal sources reach out to me as well. And right now that I'm not in a place legally or kind of socially with this whole case where I can release that information to you as far as who those people are, because honestly, if I could, those people would be the ones that we're here talking. You know what I mean? Yeah, but yeah.
That makes sense.
Could we talk about the photographer, though, who you have sent your followers to go look at his profiles?
Yes. So as far as I know, one of his best friends saw my videos and showed it to him. And he had been in possession of these letters and had leaked them anonymously about a year ago. And after seeing the new wave of the movement, he was inspired to finally speak up and reveal himself as the source. Andrew Gallery is his name. Mm-hmm. And he tagged me in his original videos where he was reading out the letter. And we were in contact on Instagram messages. And I asked him to post pictures of the letter as well so that I could screenshot them and post them on Twitter and transcribe them and all of that. So yes, I'm very grateful for Andrew Gallery. I do want to say really quickly, I know this wasn't part of the question, but he is doing fine, and he has not been approached legally, to be shut down or anything like that. That's a question a lot of people are asking, and he's not giving public statements or interviews at this time, but he's doing just fine, I promise.
Mars, can you explain what the letters are just for people listening? Because a lot of people listening right now probably have no idea or as deep into it, as we are.
No, that's totally fine. So Brittany wrote letters around 2008, which was, I think, 8 or 9 months after the conservatorship was put in place, maybe a year. And she had written these letters in the third person because she was expecting them to be released via a third party to the media. She was not expecting to kind of personally to release these letters. But basically, she kind of chronicles her abuse and her fears from within the conservatorship. She talks about the People magazine thread with her ex-husband, Kevin Federline, and how he and her team painted him as the victim when in reality, she was actually manipulated into divorcing him. And on multiple occasions, he refused to see her or his children, as well as how she's been threatened and blackmailed to have her children taken away every time she's voiced her concerns about having no freedom. And she speaks to her own generosity and everything that she's done for her family and the people around her, and kind of slap in the face the disrespect that she feels for the way that she's been treated in return. But these letters were kind of explosive around last year when they were first leaked, but the legitimacy could not be confirmed because there was no source. Mm-hmm. And even though the handwriting was similar, whoever wrote the letter was in a rush, was in a hurry. So there's a few differences. But now that we have a source, we can confirm that they're real.
I'm sure it's probably pretty confusing for people reading it to be like, why is it written in third person? But it makes total sense. She expected someone to stand there and address her fans.
Sort of.
Well, she gave the letter to Andrew and asked him to release it to her fans at some point. But the conservatorship, they actually took the letter from him and destroyed it. And so he had made a copy of it before they did that, before they were able to do so.
So smart. So quick thinking.
Okay. So she was basically creating her own PR statement.
Yeah.
Basically trying to, because at this time and that time, she has not been able to speak for herself publicly in a way where she can share it with other people. Her communication to the media, to the public, to her fans, and most friends and family she grew up with is very, very, very limited, if not completely and totally dissolved at this point.
It's not the best written letter. Do you believe that in 2007, 8, 9, that she really did need to be living under the control of a conservatorship or at least some sort of serious guardian?
I personally believe that conservatorship should be reserved for very extreme cases. And while she did have a very publicized meltdown, and I say that in quotes because a lot of it was manipulated and connived by her team as well as the media at the time. There is evidence that they were planning this conservatorship for at least a few weeks to a month before she was actually put underneath it. And they actually ambushed her with the conservatorship. She did not know she was going to be put under a conservatorship. But I don't believe personally that she should have been put under a conservatorship. The reason why she kind of spiraled, which she admits to in the letters to begin with, is because she had been threatened for months by both her business manager and her father, or her business manager's name at the time was Larry Rudolph, and her father, to have her kids taken away if she did not comply kind of professionally with what they wanted her to do at that time. And you can hear her own voice. I don't know if you guys can insert the clip, but there is a leaked voicemail from her to her lawyers from that time, where she actually talks about her concern, and you can hear how concerned she really is.
It is sad. Lauren, you have this thing that you like to do besides scrolling on Instagram and Twitter when you're waiting anywhere. There's like a stat that we wait like an alarming number of hours a year.
Or like even when I'm watching TV and I'm like, my mind has a place to wander for
commercial
a minute.
Time, stuff like that.
Yeah, commercial time. I go to Best Fiends and I play it every night in bed, and it kind of just winds my brain down. So I'm not like bombarded with social media. I'm just like literally playing a game with cute little creatures and trying to get as many water droplets in one row as I can. And Hunter and I sit in bed and we look over and see who's farther, how many levels we are. So it's a really, really fun game to like play with someone long distance and when you're social distancing.
Oh, what I like about it is that there's always a new monthly challenge. So the game's never old. And you can also play it on planes, on subways, anywhere you're not going to have Wi-Fi service.
Yes, that's the best kind of game. And there's already 100 million downloads. So everyone, you have to know that it's good if 100 million people have downloaded it and enjoyed it. It's free to download. And Best Fiends updates the game monthly for new levels and events, so it never gets old.
Yeah, and you guys just know when you type it into the App Store or Google Play, it's Best Fiends. It's like Best Friends, but without the R.
So it's like kind of the new Candy Crush, the new Angry Birds, but I think it's way more fun, more challenging.
And visually, like, really pretty.
It is very cute. Very cute little villains, very cute little fiends, I guess is what you would call them. So if you guys want to get to know the fiends that I play with every night, download Best Fiends, BESTFIENDS.
Do you have to sign and agree to a conservatorship? Like, how does that even work?
She did have to sign to it, but what would you say? Did you say it was against her will? Like,
well, he just explained that
she
was, they ambushed her.
At the time that the conservatorship was instated and she had to sign it, she was being involuntarily held. They had a lawyer who they appointed go see her in the hospital while she was being restrained, because in the original conservatorship agreements, they do have the right to involuntarily commit her and keep her held with physical, medical, and personal restraints for as long as they feel necessary. But they did have a lawyer who has been the same public defender who has been her lawyer all these years, go see her in the hospital, visit her for 15 minutes, then come back to the court and say that she was unfit to withhold her own legal counsel, and B, to attend the trial herself. So she was being held against her will under duress at the time that the conservatorship was instated and at the time that she was required to sign off on it. So there was basically no choice at that point.
Right. So I want to make this like super clear for people that don't know anything about this like me. So why all of this, right? Why the conservatorship? Why allegedly is her team doing this to her?
Allegedly, with a lot of evidence to back it up, this is being put in place and has been held in place for such a long time for the purposes of financial exploitation and having a product of a person to be able to package and sell in a way that is nothing less than perfection and can be kind of, it's basically almost like a formula that can be repeated and produced over and over and over again. And that's kind of allegedly what the purpose of this is.
I saw a TikTok. I'm sure you probably saw it. It's showing her real singing voice, and she wanted to record an album in her real voice, like Mickey Mouse Club voice. Did you post it? Did you repost it, or did you react to it? You reacted to it.
I do edit.
Do edit it. Okay, yeah.
That. However, there are lots more clips that were not included in that video as well that show her real singing voice, even at live concerts during the Baby One More Time tour in 1999. But
crazy. So they don't want her to put out an album of her own voice, and that's an example of trying to keep her in control and being this classic Britney product.
And the reason why that even started to begin with is because she started releasing music at the same time as one of her peers, Christina Aguilera, who naturally, if you go back and listen to her voice, they have very similar, soulful, deep voices. And because they kind of had a similar look, they kind of came from the same show, the same background, they wanted to produce an image of an artist that was a little different. They said, you're not going to sell any records if you sing like this. So they brought in a vocal coach to train her to sing in a different voice than her natural voice, which is why her vocal cords are so damaged at this point, because she's been singing with an improper tone. She's not using the correct technique, and she's singing with the raised larynx. And so over time, that destroys your vocal cords, and antipsychotic medication can give you the kind of symptoms or effects of a common cold or even an upper respiratory infection. So that's why her speaking voice as well changes so often. It's because of that as well.
I am so thankful you explained why they would have her not use her amazing voice and instead use this, computerized sound.
Which, I mean, is iconic in its own
It
way.
is. It certainly is. Yes.
Yeah. However,
so iconic.
It just is kind of the introduction to this lack of freedom and control, creative control. Original Doll was actually supposed to talk about how she felt restrained, and it was supposed to be using a little bit more of her deeper, natural, soulful voice. I will say on her most recent studio album, Glory, that was released in 2016, there are a few tracks where you can hear her kind of a little bit more stripped back and natural, as well as some leaked demos and things like that you can find. But there's definitely so much evidence of at least that point as well.
So you still think she can carry a tune like that slowed down version, but it won't be as good as she may have been able to continue
if she honed that voice from 13 on. Yeah.
Vocal experts have actually said that if she were to go through vocal therapy and training, that she could actually repair her vocal cords immensely if she were to start singing her proper tone, and if she worked with someone specifically for vocal therapy. But unfortunately, they're still at the moment, well, not right now, because actually they're out of gridlock because she refuses to work. But when she's been recording music in the last few years, they're still trying to kind of get that voice out of her. And now they've kind of resorted to this. They will have her record it, and then they'll actually slightly pitch it up. So they'll take her voice and pitch it up in the studio after she's recorded, which gives her this kind of slightly chipmunky sound, which is a little interesting because it's not even the baby voice now. It's just kind of a little bit, it almost is like she's a little bit on helium or something like that. Not all songs are like that, but I've seen that many times in the last few years, and it doesn't make any sense to me.
So you mentioned Original Doll. I was hoping that you could go into what that is, and then you also after that mentioned she's refusing to work right now. So if you could deep dive into both of those things.
Yes, of course. There's so much information, and I'm so happy to be here to be able to share it with you guys because I think it's so important. But so Original Doll was supposed to be an album that Britney was going to kind of chronicle her own personal feelings. She had main writing credits on every single song, allegedly. And it's the song that we got, or it's the album that we got the single Mona Lisa from. So Mona Lisa is the only song that was officially released that was supposed to be from that era. And there was also a snippet that Britney leaked herself of a song called Rebellion. And the lyrics of that song are very, very haunting. She talks about, she says, don't trust people who are closest to you. Don't believe them or the voodoo that they do. Because they'll find in rebellion, they'll try to break you. And, everyone's yelling, everyone's concerned and scared because they know that you're rebelling. And there's still only a snippet of that online to this day. There's still never been a full kind of release of that song. But I mean, even with that song, if I'm not mistaken, Britney herself actually had to call into a local radio station and say, "Hey, I'm Britney Spears. Can I drive to the radio station and play the CD for you?" Because they didn't want her to release it. So she played that song. Mm-hmm. She had them play that song on the radio. That was the only time it's ever been played.
That kind of just shows like how in the past she is kind of like mentally, because she's been in like a metaphorical prison for so long that she's like, I'm going to call a radio station. You know, who calls radio stations?
Exactly. I mean, because they had this segment where they were like, okay, we're having a caller in to request songs, and Britney Spears calls the radio station and asks to come in. I mean, and I mean, I'm sure that made that radio host day, but like Britney Spears, the biggest pop star almost of all time, female pop star of all time, she shouldn't have to call a radio station to get her song played.
Right.
She should be able to release that whenever she wants to. And I understand that there are certain contracts that singers sign when it comes to, like they have to record a certain amount of records with a record company, with a label. And there are certain constituents and things that have to be checked off on. But that is not common for an entire album to be scrapped and rejected because of its content matter. That's how scared they are. And I mean, and the fact that there's not even been one song besides Rebellion and Mona Lisa leaked at all, they really have this sealed up, locked up tight, because obviously it's something that's concerning. So that's kind of the story with Original Doll. It was supposed to be something super special and personal when it comes to Britney. And I think that Britney's team's response to that was 2013's disaster, Britney Jean. Which Britney Jean is an entire different. What do you think?
I said, which I loved.
No. The album itself, some of the songs are absolutely wonderful. The reason why it was a disaster is because it was heavily marketed as Britney's most personal album. And 80% of the vocals were sang by backup singer Maya Marie. Because they basically took the vocals from the demo that Maya had recorded and put it as the main vocals. And you can actually hear on a lot of songs from that album where it switches line between Britney's voice and Maya's voice.
Now that you say it.
They had so much. This is how much these people are obsessed with perfection and control. It's the reason why she's also not allowed to sing live. She's not allowed to sing live. She thinks she's singing live because she actually has her microphone on. And so she can hear her mic feed in her in-ear monitors as well as the track playing. So usually she said in many, many interviews that she sings 50-50. So she's singing and then she's got the track because she dances her ass off. We all know that. But she's actually not allowed to sing live. So she can hear herself in her ears, but the actual mic feed is turned way down. So they're so obsessed with this kind of like perfect like package that they can sell every single night and everything's the same and consistent. There's no room for error here. And the same thing went with Britney Jean, and everyone critically that album was trashed by fans, general public, music critics, because of the lack of writing credits. There was no personalized song. There were no personalized songs. Even the vocals were from someone else. And there are some videos online where they actually show you the difference between Maya Marie's vocals and Britney's vocals, and you can actually hear the difference. It's just really scary. But that was kind of Britney's team's response to the backlash after Original Doll so many years later, because we know Original Doll was supposed to be released around 2000 and I believe 5, 6, 7.
So the follow-up to Circus was supposed to be Original Doll?
No, Circus was 2008, 2009-ish era. And then Blackout was 2007. So we have Blackout, Circus, and then Femme Fatale in 2011.
Oh, Femme Fatale. Yeah.
Femme Fatale was literally like one of her best albums, but as far as era goes, she was so heavily medicated. She was so heavily medicated that era. If you see her on the X Factor, if you see her at live performances, she was really zombied out most of the time. I don't know if most people don't know this, but she actually had 2 dressing rooms for the Femme Fatale tour. One filled with costumes that were cut for her normal weight, and one filled with same costumes that were cut for her weight when she's bloated because of her medication.
Let's pause here and talk about her mental health. Do you guys, you alluded before that when she was like having her wild stage, 2007, that it was as a result of just the over control of her team. Do you?
Not only that, but also the threatening of having her children taken away, which are the two things she cares about the most in her whole life.
Do you believe that she does have bipolar or at least like an extreme depression disorder? Or do you think that she's fine? Do you think that it's just been developed from just the trauma?
So many fans will, including myself at some point, were first to say that Britney has never been publicly diagnosed with bipolar disorder because it's not on any documents that we have ever seen or have been leaked. However, a source close to Britney has confirmed to me that she does have bipolar 1 and she has ADHD. So I don't have any documentation that I can give you to prove that.
Right, yeah.
But she does have bipolar 1 and ADHD allegedly. And if that is the case, my dad has bipolar 1 and I have ADHD. And I know people who have both of them combined. And those things, if she does have them, should be treated accordingly. That's not the problem. There are fans don't think that she should not be treated or being taken care of because of her mental health issues. That's not the problem. Mm-hmm. The problem is giving her the appearance of being mentally unwell, because a lot of people don't realize that an overabundance of antipsychotic medication can give you the appearance of being psychotic. It can give you the appearance of having a manic episode, because in one sense, it zombies you out. In the other sense, you're acting completely different from what you're supposed to, from what you usually would be. You're completely distant. You're not present. You're not responding. And that's intentional. It's intentional for multiple reasons.
The team would want that as that would be intentional from the team. I feel like the team would want her to be like at her like most vibrant.
And that makes the most sense, except when it comes to keeping someone under a conservatorship, A, and B, being able to create a robot basically that is complicit and submissive, because the effect that these medications have on her is that she's very kind of like, she's beyond mellowed out. Like slang, she's like zonked out all the time. Literally, she's like constantly kind of in this state of haziness. And allegedly she had 2 days of clarity last year when she was in the mental facility, and one of the nurses was not doing a very good job of making sure she was taking her medication. And so she had 2 days of mental clarity, and that kind of reinvigorated her kind of like fight. And then so that it's really sad, but that's her encouragement to continue and to keep going and trying to do her best to get out of the situation.
And so Mars, what are some of the figures? I feel like you've shared figures I don't know if they're through your videos, but like monetary wise, what's everyone making around her?
So her team, I believe they make upwards of...
And how much is she allowed? Sorry, I also wanted to know that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, in 2018, she made $34 million alone. Her net worth is widely reported as $59 million, which doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Considering the fact that literally she just, like, her assets from 1 year were worth $34 million.
Which wasn't even in her prime.
Exactly. I mean, this woman since 2008 has released 24 fragrances and an intimate collection of lingerie that she went on a press tour for. She's been on world tours to Europe, Eastern Asia, South America, North America, and even to Hawaii, and has had a residency that was the number one highest rated residency in Las Vegas, as well as slot machines, merchandise, everything. So it's not like she's not making money, as well as royalties and residuals. But anyways, so she made $34 million in 2018. She has a yearly budget, personal budget of $87,000.
To do like what with? So obviously that doesn't count with like mortgage, right? So this is like if she wanted to go shop on Rodeo Drive, she'd have $78,000.
Which she doesn't do.
Which she can't.
Because she knows that, she knows that her budget is so restricted that she shops at Target.
Okay, so wait, finish the money. Can you finish the money? How much is it?
Yes,
87,000.
I'm sorry. There's so much information. I'm sorry. I'm trying to sit here and go through it. But so she has $87,000 a year to spend personally. Now she spends it's reported around $55,000, but it's basically between $40,000 and $60,000 that she spends every year or every month towards Kevin Federline, her ex-husband, for child support. And allegedly, well, actually not allegedly, because you can actually look it up and see, Kevin Federline he's not working. He's not employed.
Yeah.
Neither is his partner. And he has a few other children to take care of as well. So he's basically increased the original $20,000 a month to between $40,000 and $60,000. So basically in 2 months, she's spent over the amount of money that she's allowed to spend in a year on herself. And her manager alone makes between 1% and 3% of her yearly earnings. Her father earns over $100,000 a year just for being a part of the conservatorship. And that's not including the business side of things that he also helps manage as well, along with Lou Taylor and TriStar.
If Lou Taylor is as evil as the fandom thinks that she is, why is she the representation for so many other clients in the industry like Gwen Stefani?
She owns TriStar, right?
She owns TriStar. Yeah. I mean, let's think about it. Ariana Grande's manager is reportedly Scooter Braun is reportedly one of the cruelest, most heartless, kind of like sociopathic people in the music industry. And yet he has so many clients that he manages and makes millions of dollars a year.
That's a great point.
He tried to buy almost all of the rights to Taylor Swift's music.
Right.
And I believe that mistreatment and unkind people in Hollywood is not a new trend. I don't think that's something that's a new idea. And the fact that Lou Taylor owns a multi-million-dollar corporation speaks a lot to the reason why she has so many clients the way that she does. Because regardless of her means, she clearly knows how to make a buck, or millions of those. She actually attempted to do the same thing to Lindsay Lohan around the same time. She basically tried to get in bed with Dina Lohan and convince her to put Lindsay in rehab long enough for them to take out an emergency conservatorship against her so that Lou could manage her career without any restrictions. And Lindsay Lohan's father was actually one of the only reasons why it didn't go through. He made a public statement and talked about the fact that was going on, and he did his best to keep it from happening. But it seems that Lou has attempted multiple times to create a career out of basically putting people on house arrest and then managing their career.
Wow.
So this newfound #Free Britney movement, do you think it's stirring up again because of the video she's been putting out on TikTok and Instagram? And that's what's causing the concern for people?
I don't think so, because the type of content that she's been posting is stuff that she's been posting for the last year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the same, and obviously it's different depending on the day. But the same type of content essentially is being posted on social media from that time. I think a lot of it has to do with the newfound kind of refreshment as far as the fans go and encouragement. I definitely think that the court date that actually was today had a lot to do with the new kind of resurgence of everything. But I definitely am very grateful to be a large proponent of the new wave of the movement. I do think it died down after around January, February.
So what is this new court date? Can you sort of explain us what's happening today? Obviously, everyone will be listening to this next week.
Yeah, and is Brittany present?
What would you say?
Is Brittany present at the court?
She is not at the court. It's a remote appearance. So she is it is like basically live streamed to the court. It is a closed court. So there is no media, there's no press, there's no kind of like bystanders or anything like that. But it basically is her court hearing today to have her conservatorship reevaluated. And so they're kind of taking her in, evaluating her mental state, being like, okay, so should we continue this contract? Is it necessary, or should we dissolve it? I do have good word that some very big things are coming, and there is some sort of freedom that's coming very soon.
Wow.
And that's all that I can say about that. And that's not following the court proceedings today. That was information that I received this morning and last week.
Okay.
All right.
When do you think we'll all get to find that out?
I think that everybody should be checking their social media the next few weeks.
Cool.
For sure. Here's my thing.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. allegedly, a lot of NDAs are expiring very soon.
Okay.
And there are going to be a lot of bombshells, information. There are also some very special projects and some people who are working very hard behind the scenes to raise awareness for this issue. So even if this does not have the outcome that we all hope it does, trust me, this is not going to be an issue that goes away anytime soon if justice does not prevail.
Right. Now, this reason that they got to court this week, is that because the conservatorship like has a certain expiration or like renewal date, or does this have to do with her mom getting more involved?
No, this has nothing to do with Lynn. They did go to court last year as well to kind of plan a date for everything to be reevaluated. Jody Montgomery was supposed to be Britney's personal caretaker until, I believe, January or February of this year. And clearly that's been extended. So every conservatorship kind of has a kind of expiry / renewal date. And it's supposed to last a certain amount of years. It was supposed to be a temporary conservatorship to begin with. And it was supposed to last a maximum of 2 years. But as we've seen, it's lasted 6 times that amount. So, and actually one of the judges that overlooked the case the first time was actually disbarred due to separate malpractice on a different case. So
really? You would think they would review all of those cases again when he was disbarred. Wow. But anyway, continue.
Oh, I wanted to go back to something. I don't know if we actually got into Mars, and that was when you mentioned that she's actually refusing to work right now. What do you know about that? That you can tell us.
So sorry, there's a little bit of a delay. So I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off.
No, you're good.
To, listen and find the best that I can.
No, totally. So are we every week.
So basically, they are at a standstill and a gridlock with Britney, and they have been for a few months now. Last year, there was a physical altercation that occurred between Jamie Spears, Britney's father, and her 2 children, one of her children specifically, where he allegedly broke down the door physically and violently shook him. And that was just one of many altercations that happened behind the scenes. Just as a side note, Jamie Spears has actually been admitted to rehab due to alcoholism and has been known to have a serial alcohol problem. It was funny because in 2005, it was Brittany and Kevin Federline who were driving, Jamie home from rehab. And then 2 years later, he's involuntarily holding her against her will in rehab. So, but I will say that there is common knowledge that basically she has 30% custody of her kids following that kind of physical altercation because of the restraining order that was taken out against Jamie on behalf of the kids from Kevin Federline. So, and because Britney spends so much time, she has to spend so much time with her father because he's her conservator, that cut down her custody time to 30%. But allegedly, she has actually signed away 100% of custody of her kids to Kevin Federline because since 2007 and before, that has been the main thing they've kind of dangled over her head to get her to jump through hoops is her children. And so she decided, she's like, this is the hardest thing I'm going to ever have to do, but I need to put my foot down and I need to try to make as much of a difference as I possibly can. So she's refusing to get in the studio. She's refusing to do any sort of physical work. She's staying at the house, which, by the way, is kind of like a military bunker right now. But she's refusing to work because at that point, she knows that the only thing they can do is hurt her or kill her. Literally. That's literally the only thing they can do at this point. They're barely even being able to get her to take her medication. So...
Okay. Who lives in the house with her? We know we have Cutie Patootie boyfriend. And is it just him living at the house?
Which I'd like to know more about the boyfriend. Yeah.
So I feel really bad for bullying Sam, first of all, because it was kind of widely thought that Sam was one of Britney's handlers. And it's widely due to the fact that in the past, Britney's relationships have almost been sort of transactional because there have been partners and boyfriends that have been kind of on payroll or who have been kind of honorarily appointed as a handler or an attendant or someone to monitor her. And so, especially when it comes to a popular fitness influencer who lives in LA and is constantly growing his status and is a male model and about to be on a TV show, and all of the past evidence, like Britney's ex-boyfriend, David Lucado, he actually made a public statement saying that he wanted to marry Britney, but wasn't going to do so until she was released, until her conservatorship ended, and until her residency at Las Vegas ended. And after that public statement, he was never allowed to directly contact her again. So just based on everything that has happened in the past and the amount of money that Kevin Federline makes off of her a month, why would it be a reach at all that Sam is on payroll, especially because of the videos I was being sent literally hundreds of times a day of him saying, smile, smile in the video, or being like, kiss me on the red carpet. Because, you know, even outside of a conservatorship, that's a little bit narcissistic, and it can be seen as controlling or even abusive. It can be telltale signs of abuse. So definitely I was very concerned about that. So I made 2 videos, just posting those videos, being like, oh my God. And the day I posted my second video was the day that Sam released his public statement, which basically said, when you see someone on TV, when you see someone on Instagram, you don't really know them, you don't really know what they are, or, you know, who they are, what they do, or really anything about them. And I appreciate your concern. However, this is the last line that really got me. He said, basically he says something along the lines of, you're putting your energy into canceling the wrong person. And the reason why that stuck out to me was because if he was in charge of suppressing and shutting down Free Britney media and rumors, why would he imply that there is someone at fault? Why would he imply that there is someone that is kind of to cancel here? I think that that's kind of egging people on to deflect their energy elsewhere, which people could say, oh, he's just defending himself and he's just trying to get the energy off of him. But that caused me to reach out to my sources, 3 of them, that I had never asked them about Sam before, because I just took an educated guess, and we all were kind of under the impression that he was on payroll because it made sense. It's the first time I ever asked. And all 3 people who do not know each other and do not speak to each other gave me the exact same answer about Sam.
Okay.
Which is that Sam loves Britney. Allegedly, Britney and Sam want to have a baby together.
Aww.
And want to get married.
Aww.
And Sam is the only person who was consistently around her, who was on her side and has her best interest in mind. He's basically her guardian angel. So the reason why he's seen in those videos saying smile or kiss me is because he wants to make her look normal to the media when she's not present. She's clearly out of it, and she's depressed. And he wants to make her look stable because, what better place to have yourself, your emotional and physical state documented than at a red carpet event when the paparazzi are literally in a wall there screaming at you, taking pictures. And at that moment, I got full body chills because it put everything in perspective for me. And it was the most shocking news that I had heard in a while. But Jamie Spears hates Sam.
Okay, that was my question. Yeah, how much does the team hate him and want to get rid of him?
Wait, so he is her actual boyfriend?
Yeah.
Boyfriend.
Which is what you're saying, right? He's not on payroll, to your knowledge. Okay, got it.
We just kind of all assume, since everyone else has been or had some, what show is he going to be on?
Contractual obligation. Yeah, you would think. What'd you say?
What show is he going to be on? You said that he was going to be on TV.
I'm not sure. You might have to look at his Instagram for that information, but he definitely posts all about it all the time. But I don't fault him for that because that's his job. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. How do they have him come and go? Like, I feel like I want to talk about the compound and who is able to come in and out. I feel like Brittany obviously isn't allowed to come in and out on her own.
That's what I was about to discuss next.
Okay.
So basically her home is like a compound, like a military compound right now. So Jody Montgomery, I've been told, is staying a lot with Brittany, spending a lot of time there with her physically, which she is required to check in and required. So Jody Montgomery is basically in charge of Brittany's medical and personal affairs. So all of Brittany's medical treatment she oversees, and she's also kind of responsible for taking care of Brittany in her life. But she's been spending a lot of time staying there at the house with Brittany. So we've got Jody Montgomery. We've got Cade, who is actually one of Brittany's closest friends, who she actually met through her ex, Jason Trawick, who she was with during the Femme Fatale era, during 2011, 2012, who was allegedly physically abusive to her.
Oh, I always thought he seemed wonderful.
you know, you'll have to do your own research.
he's like, I can't tackle everything right now.
I always thought he would look like a creepy old man, but that was just me personally. But so Cade, she actually met through Jason, and so she's friends with Cade. So Cade is spending almost all his time at the house as well. So we've got Cade, we've got Jody Montgomery, we've got Jamie, who comes in and out. He's just there. He comes and goes, whatever. Brittany, I think Brittany at this point probably despises him, but he is there quite a lot. And then we've got 3 bodyguards that have been hired by Jamie to keep Brittany from leaving the house or driving. So there was a picture that was posted. It was like, I think it was literally the day after that bullshit TMZ article dropped. And it was Brittany driving in this white car. And it's the same car she was seen driving last year whenever they were trying to make it look like she's allowed to drive as well. But like, we've never seen her in that car. Like, it's the car she's always seen like driving, but it's also the car that we always see someone with her in the car with her. And so that guy, the guy that was in the passenger seat, was one of the bodyguards that's been hired by Jamie to stay at the house full time. So, and then obviously we've got Sam. So here's the deal with Sam and this whole quarantine Brittany situation. They did not want Sam to quarantine with Brittany. Jamie hates Brittany. Here's my personal opinion. I don't have any evidence to back this up. This is my personal opinion. I believe that Sam is allowed to have visitation rights with Brittany because he knows some things that he's not supposed to know and has threatened to break his NDA, which clearly that would cause him a lot of legal trouble. But at the same time, it would be a very, very hard thing to cover up at that point if Sam did come out and say something. But I don't think it would benefit Sam or Brittany for him to break his NDA, and here's why. Brittany's team is compiled up and has connections with some of the largest, most important people on the West Coast of the United States. They have control over media. They have control over legal counsel. They have control over people in the music industry, people who are around Brittany personally. And if Sam comes out and makes a statement, they have 10 people to come back in and make statements that contradict that, A. And B, they would sue his ass off for defamation and slander. I already know they would. And for breach of contract. So basically, it would just not benefit. And he wouldn't be allowed to see Brittany at that point. So I think, so this is what happened allegedly. So Jamie was like, or Sam was like, I want to have a baby with Brittany. Brittany's not allowed to have children without permission. So
wait.
So
or do they put her on birth control?
They have, well, first of all, that type of antipsychotic medication, when you're taking heavy doses of it, it limits your ability to conceive anyways. But it would not surprise me if they do have her on birth control. I'm just saying, like, they do have all medical totalitarian control over her. So if she were to get pregnant even, which I don't think that her and Sam are allowed to have that kind of time together, but if she were to get pregnant, they do have the authority to treat that in any way they see fit. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to get myself in trouble. I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
But yeah, so,
I didn't realize that a conservatorship had that much legal power over a person on whether or not they could have a kid.
Here's the thing. It's like, part of the reason why she's put under the conservatorship is because she can't take care of herself. She can't take care of others. So technically, if she were to have a kid and she was mentally unstable and kind of disabled at this point, she would not be able to take care of that child.
When you lay it out, it makes sense. Like, it totally makes sense. I guess just in my head, until it came out of your mouth, Mars, I was like, oh, wow, that's a lot. Can I ask you, oh, sorry, am I cutting you off? Do you have more?
I just want to finish about Sam really quickly.
We keep cutting you because there's so much. Keep going.
I know, but okay, so basically, Sam came to Jamie and was like, hey, I want to have a baby with Brittany. We want to get married. We want to stay together permanently.
That's
like,
right.
whatever. And Jamie was like, no, like, that's not happening. Sorry. And so Sam was like, well, then I'm leaving because I'm not going to sit here and I can't sit here and watch you mistreat this woman every day and not give her any sort of freedom in return for, like, I can't sit here and let this happen and be around it and see it every day. And so then Jamie goes, well, no. Hold on. I will help fund your next professional endeavor, and I will pay you a very large amount of money if you stay and actually get on payroll and help monitor her.
Plot twist.
Sam says, hell no.
Oh.
You are messed up. I'm not going to take money to abuse and allow the abuse of someone that I love. But at that point, it kind of put things in perspective for Sam. And he was like, these people are literally
He needs to be there.
Yeah, these people are literally willing to do anything to keep this quiet. So then he kind of like counter threatens them and is like, well, no, but if you don't let me see her, I'm going to break my contract and I'm going to expose you and basically tell everybody everything that they already know. So Sam is basically trapped almost as much so as Brittany. And obviously Sam has personal freedom because he's not under a conservatorship. However, he cannot fight treatment. He can't fight medication. He can't fight what's going on. All he can do is try to be there as much as possible and protect her in the best way that he can while she's under duress. It's really like a Romeo and Juliet type situation. Like it is the most drama, except it's real at this point. And so they're both kind of entrapped in this situation.
This is insane, but it's also, you know, when I hear you talk about this so passionately too, it's also something that it's not such a foreign concept. If you've seen A Star Is Born, we've seen this trope happen in movies go down a lot, you know, where someone gets famous and a musician sort of turns into everything that they're not. They turn into a money-making machine. So I don't think any of this is that foreign of a concept when we take a look at history and other famous musicians on the same level as Brittany.
Oh yeah.
There are two quick things, just as like I don't want to call myself a mild Britney fan. I'm definitely a Britney fan. I'm just not diehard. But there are two things just in life that I wanted to ask you about since you're here. I wanted to know your thoughts on when she shaved her head. And I
actually have input on that when you're done?
Yeah, go ahead, Lauren. Sorry. Am I like cutting up?
My input on the shaving the head thing is, I don't know if you saw this, but apparently a week before Brittany actually shaved her head, she was talking to a hairstylist, and the hairstylist was evaluating her hair and was basically like, girl, the only way to salvage this is if you shave your head. And that's actually a very normal thing that a hairstylist will tell you. And she saw the opportunity. She shaved her head because she had to shave her hairs
because it was so bleached and over processed
and damaged.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that crazy. She was already considering doing it. It wasn't like spur of the moment.
And not only that, but there were a few other kind of things that went into that as well. So we have that, which is very true. However, also, she was tired of people controlling and touching her. That was kind of the words that were coming out of her mouth that time. It's like, I'm tired of people touching me. Don't touch me. Don't mess with me. I mean, you even think a couple years back, Kylie Jenner got in so much hot water because she was being followed. She was leaving an event. She had bodyguards around her, and this girl kept being like, "Can I take a picture with you?" And she was like, "Please don't touch me." You know what I mean? It's a very common thing among celebrities where they just feel like so claustrophobic. And so people would the paparazzi and everyone, they would they would all be behind her, like, "Oh, let me get it. Let me touch her. And she's got this kind of long mane of extensions, and and it's allowing people to really get their hands on her and kind of get access to her and violate her personal space. And that's something she had been saying. And it's almost like her personal protection team was not doing their job intentionally, because it allowed for paparazzi to infiltrate such a small circle. Like they had 20 cars following her every day when she would leave the house, because people from her team would specifically tell them where she was going. But anyway, so she goes to this salon the day this event happens. It was the night. It was around the evening time. And she says, "I want you to shave my head. I want you to shave my head." And the lady says no. But the lady's like, "No, I'm not going to shave your head. I'm not going to do that." So that's why Brittany took the clippers herself and was like, "Then F you, I'm going to shave my head because that's what I asked you to do. I was going to pay you for it. And you're not going to do it. I've been wanting to do this. I need to do this for myself." And she shaved her own head. I mean, and unfortunately, it was in a space where there's big windows in the front of the store, and there were paparazzi everywhere to capture the moment. And they turned it into this thing where she kind of lost her mind because she shaved her head. I don't know about you. I mean, I shaved my head a year and a half ago, and I looked great. I mean, I didn't think she looked bad with, bad bald.
Yeah.
But I just think people are being paid to perpetrate the narrative that their employers want them to. I mean, it's widely known that TMZ has a contract with Britney's team. I mean, I don't know if you guys even read the article that TMZ released a few days ago, but it was basically Britney's completely unstable. She can't take care of herself. She's going to have a conservatorship for the rest of her life because her meds stopped working, and she's crazy. And they have no personal statements and no evidence to back this up. Wow. And if you know anything about TMZ, they are the first people to hype up and egg on a conspiracy, anything that's going to cause drama and bring attention to something, because that's the kind of tabloid news that they are. So why is it that they're shutting down this conspiracy? Why is it they're shutting down this movement with no evidence, no leaked documents, nothing of the sort? We're expected to believe them. It's really funny because I filmed the podcast that I mentioned that on 3 days before the article dropped. Yeah.
So even though I know that this has like basically been completely implied, but I do just want to ask the question. Even though it seems as if she is overly drugged, we do think that she is coherent enough to know what's going on around her is fucked up.
Yes, definitely so.
Okay.
Definitely so. She has been communicating the best that she can with people she knows personally. She gets very limited phone time and allegedly has had phone calls with close family friends while people have stepped out of the house for a few minutes, about around 20 minutes, bawling her eyes out. You know, just not knowing what to do, feeling helpless. Wow. But basically, she actually sent a text message out this morning to somebody and she said, I and so many other people are about to get in trouble today, but I don't care. I'm excited. And she said that today.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Okay.
So she definitely is aware of what's going on, and she definitely knows what's up. She did not see my video, by the way. She did not see my video.
How do you know that?
Because somebody who has direct contact with her told me that. Yeah. So she did not see my video, but she heard about my video and was told on the phone about my video, which is why she posted the Mars post on Instagram to begin with.
That's what I wanted to get into. So I know that you don't love the fact that your conspiracy theories get more attention than the actual facts that you have been giving us for at least the past 50 minutes. But are you comfortable in like spending a couple minutes explaining what you call as conspiracy theories?
Yeah.
And what this post is about? I didn't know about that.
As long as it's not the focus, I'm totally fine with that. I basically... So there have been quite a few messages that have been sent through social media. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw, just a couple hours ago, Britney's makeup artist from 2006. Well, she's been her makeup artist multiple times, but she was her makeup artist during the Slumber Party set music video when Sam actually Sam was there too. That's how they met.
Oh.
Britney and Sam met on the set of Britney's Slumber Party music video because he was the model in the video. But basically... So the makeup artist actually came out a couple hours ago and confirmed that Brittany does send her fans messages via social media. She was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but I did. So oops. But I've also heard from multiple sources that she does know what's going on and she tries to send the best messages that she can while they're being encoded and encrypted, because everything she posts on social media has to be approved. So she can't say anything blatantly. That was something that kind of pissed me off about the Today Show, is that they said Brittany has control of her social media. No, she doesn't. She doesn't have control over social media. She can record videos and take pictures, and she can sometimes choose her captions, but it's a mixture of posts from her and posts from the team, and everything that she chooses has to be approved as well. And sometimes they post without her knowledge anyways. She can't read comments, she can't DM, she can't go live, she can't do a lot of things. And so they confirmed that she does send messages the best way that she can via Instagram, and so did the makeup artist as well. So it's been confirmed by multiple sources, but I don't have any documentation that I can give you that proves that. So that's the reason why it's considered a conspiracy theory. But some of the greatest solved crimes have come out of conspiracies, so I'm not ashamed of them. Only for the sake of being discredited in the media. That's the reason why it bothers me. But
real quick, Mars, I wanted to ask you, just because we're on the topic of Instagram posts, most recently when she said that her gym burned down, I feel like that line got turned and twisted into a million different theories. So can you just give us your thoughts on that real quick while we're on this specific topic?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, sorry. So... basically, there were a couple different theories about that post. So some people think that it was a ploy from her team to actually say that she burnt her gym down, to say basically that she's unstable, to give a public documentation record of her being unstable, or so it was a coerced statement, or that she intentionally burned her gym down. One, either for like in an act of rebellion, or B, in a ploy to escape. So, because if the fire department has to be called, she has to get out of the house because the house has to be evacuated for the fire. So if she's stepping outside of her house, that's her means of escape. So there are a couple theories about that post. I personally have never input my own personal opinion about that post because I think there are quite a few other things that are a little bit less far-fetched, but I do understand that has been something that has been the topic of conversation for a while.
Yeah.
So I definitely get that, but I don't have any personal opinion on that. I can't speak on that. But what I can speak on is I can speak on her use of roses as far as pictures of roses on her Instagram. And historically, roses actually represent confidentiality and secrets. So if you go back to ancient Rome, they would actually place roses at the doorway when someone inside a house or in a room was having a serious or confidential private conversation as kind of like a way to say, hey, you can't come in. This is serious. This is private. Come back later, whatever. So she posts a lot of roses, but under one of the roses, she actually has a quote from the author Arundhati Roy, and the quote says she had she wore flowers in her hair and had secrets in her eyes. Mm-hmm. And it is a quote from the debut novel of Arundhati Roy entitled "The God of Small Things." The next line of that quote actually says, she spoke to no one. But on top of that, if you actually read the synopsis and the summary of that novel, it mimics and parallels Brittany's life to an alarming degree. The main character has an abusive father and a long-suffering mother. And in Means to Escape, she moves to another city and tries to marry a man so she doesn't have to go back. The man that she marries is physically abusive to her and actually tries to pimp her out to his boss. She has 2 children and escapes the marriage by returning home to find that her abusive father has died. So that's just a little bit of that novel and the summary of that novel.
Wow, Mars, we do have to wrap with you soon and get our next guest on. But I, if you're willing, would love for you to explain the Mars picture that she posted and the help possible that was written on her arm.
Okay, so, sorry. So, the Mars post was basically, she posted a picture of the sunset, which was taken from Google Images, by the way. It was not a picture she took herself, which is a common theme among Britney. She takes a lot of pictures offline and then posts them, whatever. But the caption was talking about how the sun was so bright, it's so red, almost like Mars. And so allegedly, according to my sources, that was in reference to the video that went viral, the original video that kind of re-sparked the movement. But that's actually not the part I want to focus on. The part of that, because I don't want to say anything about that that's going to like get me in more hot water with other people. And I'm not taking credit for this. You know what I mean? But the rest of the caption, she says, I heard on the news today about a new planet called Planet 9. And then she says, I wonder what's on this planet, or is it a planet at all? So it almost is like at the very end that she's alluding to the fact that she's not speaking about an actual planet at all, but speaking of something that has the same name. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Rose Mcgowan, but Rose Mcgowan actually was the whistleblower for the Harvey Weinstein case and was she basically founded the Me Too movement. So she recently released an album entitled Planet 9 that's a healing album for victims of assault and abuse. And it came out like a few days to a week before this post on Instagram, as well as all of the rose posts, all of the pictures of roses as well on her Instagram.
In her video of her spinning around with the roses, the bouquet of roses. Yeah, okay.
And she walks across the screen in that video 9 times, which is actually 9 is the number for SOS in Morse code. But, so the other post I want to talk about before we go is there's 2. There's one where she has the hat and she's moving the hat across her face, and she's pointing to something on the hat that's like looks like little scribbles. So if you zoom in on the video, you screenshot the video and you flip it around, I trace the letters, and a lot of people did too. It says help upside down. Like literally she's pointing to the hat while she's holding the hat, moving across the thing. And if you zoom in and screenshot it, it says help in tiny little letters. And then also the last post,
even before you did that whole like flip and stuff, I go, that says help. And then I watched the rest of your video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You could definitely see
them.
And then she posted a caption. It was just a random photo that had already been taken previously. And the caption said, I made cherry muffins today. It doesn't really matter what the caption said. There was this long caption. And then there's only 2 words in the caption that are capitalized. One is the word bite. And the last line was also capitalized, which is God bless you all in all caps. So BITE is actually an acronym that's used in cult mind control. So BITE stands for Behavior, Information, Thought, and Emotional Control. It's a model that's used to brainwash victims of cults. So in that caption, that long caption, the only 2 words that are in caps are BITE and then God bless you all at the very end, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, that's basically the whole deal with her Instagram. There's quite a few things that people have been concerned about when it comes to her Instagram account. And like I said, I've had people confirm that there are people who are she is trying to send as many subliminals as she can without being explicit.
Wow.
That help one's pretty undeniable. The help hat one is kind of undeniable. So
Lauren
she's doing a good job.
Lauren mentioned when we lost you that people were like, wear yellow if you need help. And then she wore yellow in the next video. How do you feel about that?
I was forced to give an answer about that in my Today Show interview.
Sorry.
No. It's just, I don't think it's fair for them to be like, okay, wear this color. And then all of a sudden, like, obviously one of the colors she's going to wear in her video is going to match up with something in the comment section from the previous video. I do think that if one of them was legit, the only one that would have been legit was the first one, the yellow comment, because that was before everyone started oversaturating the comment section with different colors for her to wear. Yeah. So I don't think that it's effective for them to sit there and say like, oh, she wore this color, so therefore, she's listening to us, because she doesn't have access to her comments. The only reason why she's even seen comments enough to be able to make posts responding to them is because she's been told what they say by either Sam or, we're assuming, her friend Kate.
Mars, have you ever met Brittany?
No, I wish. I saw her in 2015 in Las Vegas for her Piece of Me residency. I was in the pit in the front row. She winked at me and gave a high five. And it was literally like my favorite moment ever. It's for my birthday, because my birthday's next month.
Oh, well, happy early birthday. I just want to thank you. And I'm so sorry you had a bad experience on Australian Today Show. I don't think anybody should ever have a bad experience or feel like, they weren't prepped for something. I think it's very admirable that you're trying to get this message out there and help this woman that you've never even met. And I honestly I just can't thank you enough for coming on. And I'm excited to find out what you say we will allegedly find out about very soon.
Yes. This has been fascinating.
Yes, I cannot wait.
I'm so excited.
I can truly tell you that, like, of the past hour, over an hour you've been talking to us, and I've just been glued to everything you've been saying. It's been really fascinating.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to take a deep dive on everything you're saying. And if this is all, like, comes out to be true fact, like, this is just the most heartbreaking thing ever.
There's, I mean, and even without the stuff that I've provided and things that you can find online, you can see the physical and kind of emotional change between even the last few years. Things have gotten so much worse, and it's just gotten progressively worse every single year, every second of the day. So that's why I think it's so important that we continue talking about this and using our platforms, because this truly is a woman's life at stake. This isn't a joke. This is something that's very serious, and your words could be the last kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back that really makes the difference. And I think we're all working together to create a difference. So I'm very honored and humbled to be a part of that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Mars.
It was fun talking to you guys. I enjoyed it so much.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's really, really nice to hear. Thanks, Mars. Bye.
Bye. You guys have a great night.
You too. Bye.
You too.
All right. Well, from one person who wants us to, spread the message, the word, use our platforms, to one person who thinks that we shouldn't be discussing this at all. We have we have celebrity hairstylist Justin Anderson, who does Margot Robbie and Jennifer Aniston's hair. He's a pretty big deal. He's best friends with Kristen Cavallari, and he's coming on the pod right now.
Has he done Britney's hair?
No, he's always wanted to.
Oh, I remember that. Okay.
Hey, Justin. He's sitting there with his cute Britney shirt on. tell us about your thoughts on this resurgence in the Free Britney movement.
You know, it's so funny. I feel like it's because I'm such a Britney Spears fan and I have so much fun talking about her on Instagram because I've been a fan since I was in high school. You know, funny fact, Brittany and I are basically the exact same age. So it's like, I feel like I've grown up with her. I've been a fan forever. And so on Instagram, I talk about her all the time, my love for her. And whenever this stuff starts to happen, everyone starts messaging me constantly saying, Justin, speak out about this. And I think also because, you know, my job doing hair, I work with really big celebrities. And so people are always like, you must have a connection to Britney. You need to speak out on this. So I get brought into it a lot. And I do have like a really big opinion that is fact-based. I know a lot of people who are connected to Britney, and I do know a lot, but I'm not going to go into super facts, but I'll be very honest about what I know and why I think that this whole Free Britney movement is actually super damaging if you are a fan of Britney.
Go for it. Tell us whatever you feel comfortable revealing.
So what I feel comfortable revealing is I feel like, here's the thing. You know, being around celebrities like I am, and I'm very close to people because I go into their homes, I invite them into the private space that I have in Beverly Hills, and I work with all these celebrities one-on-one. I feel like the thing is that people need to realize there's this mystery to celebrities, and I get it. Everybody who has never been around celebrities or lots of different celebrities always, you know, everyone's first question with me is like, oh, what is so-and-so like? And I heard so-and-so is a nightmare. And the thing that I think is so crazy is there's not this huge mystery to celebrities like they think. It's really hard nowadays, especially to hide things about celebrities. So with Britney, it drives me crazy that people are acting like she's being held like she's a hostage. You know, we're talking about someone who is visible to the entire world, right? It would be so impossible for people to like hide the fact that Britney is completely miserable, you know? And I think what people are missing out on is when everybody talks about her videos, and people will send me her videos on Instagram and they'll be like, Justin, look at this. She looks terrible. Like, or you've got to fix her hair, or what's going on with Britney. And I'm like, you guys, I think the problem here is that we're actually seeing the real Britney now. Everyone's comparing her to 20-year-old Britney when she was always painted up. Her hair was all done. And they're like, what happened to her now? And I think that social media is a big part of that problem, that it's like, she grew up. Like, we're seeing who she is. You know, what are you guys hearing that like you think is like questionable? Because to me, the whole thing is just, it's so crazy to me. I watch this stuff, the Free Britney stuff, and I'm just like, what are these facts? Like, what are people talking about? And if they were real, like a serious journalist, like maybe even like, I'm trying to think of who does serious journalism for celebrities, but like at this point, Vanity Fair would have done like a huge article about this and somebody would have gone in. But anytime someone gets close to this and they start seeing the facts, people are like, oh, this is a real thing. Like, this is a girl who is lucky to have a family that cares about her. So I don't know. I don't even know what the arguments are at this point.
I guess we don't know anyone who has gotten relatively close to getting an interview inside like her home and with the permission of her dad, since her dad is in charge of like every move she makes. So if they were allowed in the house and to have Britney like sit down with a camera like today, then maybe we would all believe that she's okay. But the fact that she doesn't have control, like she gets $84,000 a year to spend on clothes, like in her Instagram yesterday, she was like, my wish is to have unlimited designer clothes. And it's like, Brittany, you're Brittany. You can have designer clothes, but apparently she is not allowed to have designer clothes because of her father.
And under this how do you say it?
Conservatorship.
Conservatorship. I can never say it right. I think the question in hand now, Justin, is her empire and family and team and father, et cetera, so in control, so powerful because, you know, they control Britney's empire. They can then also control one could argue that they could then also control the narrative, as we've seen in a lot of celebrities of the past, you know?
That's what they're claiming, that a lot of these news organizations, TMZ most notably, are like too in cahoots and friendly with the team around her to like spread news
to allow
that
real narrative to come out.
And then the videos of her are, we just heard from someone that was explaining that she can make videos for Instagram, but they all have to be approved. And some of the captions she doesn't even write.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that I can't go into detail, but I can tell you wholeheartedly, I'm doing this because I love you, Ashley, and it's fun.
You're very sweet.
I really do love Brittany. And here's the thing, a little background on me. People can look into my stuff on Instagram at Justin Anderson Color. I work with a lot of celebrities. I'm known for being super, super private about my relationships with my clients. I'll never talk about people. You know, the furthest I'll go is people always ask about Jennifer Aniston, of course, because she's an icon. And I always say that she's so amazing and she's so nice. But I don't talk about people. And I can say that I'm very close to these people. And what drives me crazy is there's not a lot of secrets in Hollywood. This would be the biggest secret in the world to try and be kept quiet. And I do know for a fact that is Brittany writing her captions. That is Brittany making her videos. And when people write things like "Free Brittany," "What's wrong with you, Brittany," whatever, it's so hurtful to a person like that. This is her outlet now. This is someone who does love praise. She's been praised her whole life. She loves like an applause. She loves people to be like, "You're beautiful, you're great." This is her way of getting that on social media. So when all these people go in and they write these terrible things, it hurts a person like Brittany. And I know this stuff for a fact. And I just think that people would be really shocked if they kind of got more information into the world. And the reason that it's kept so tight, and I'll tell you this, and I have no problem saying this, you guys have to realize that this Free Britney hashtag is making her a lot of money. It's keeping her very relevant. Just recently, she released a song from years ago, and it beat Lady Gaga's song. So all of this stuff that these people are doing, Free Britney, it's keeping her very relevant. And I think if there is anyone who's like trying to protect Britney or make a ton of money off of Britney, they love this shit. So keep it going. You know, it's like there are crazy fans who, you know, keep calling police to show up to her house. They go there. There's nothing going on. Britney wants to be left alone. She wants to put on those outfits. That's how she wants to dress. You know, the smudged makeup. I think deep down, Britney's from like the Nirvana time. Like she thinks that's kind of edgy and moody. And when people look at her like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with her? What does she look like?" It's like, you guys, she's almost 40 years old. She's not a young pop star. Like, that is her. And it really bums me out because I do come from a place of love when it comes to her. And trust me, I wouldn't even be talking to you guys if I was like, "Oh, there's something weird happening." This is a big fat hashtag. It's just a joke. And if you think about it too, being around celebrities, okay, let's say I was kind of a shitty person. I didn't care and I wanted to make a name for myself. I could come on here and make up gossip about certain celebrities and it could fly. It's so easy to start a rumor in Hollywood. It is so freaking easy. I mean, how many times has Jennifer Aniston been pregnant?
Yeah.
You know, every other week, it's like the cover of a magazine says Jennifer Aniston is pregnant. And then when you're around these actual people, I mean, Charlize Theron, another client of mine, she was dating Brad Pitt at one point. And I'm sitting in the chair she was in my chair when it got announced. And it's like, oh God, here they go again. It's like, it's so easy to start a rumor. And I do think the problem with Britney is that if she cared, or if she really cared about being famous or wanting to have a massive career, she could come out and be like, "Hey, you guys, cut it out. This stuff isn't true," or whatever. She's not doing it because it's helping her right now. It's keeping her relevant. If she did that and everyone left it alone, she wouldn't release, people wouldn't be paying attention to her Instagram. You know what I mean?
I definitely see how it could be damaging to someone who does have a mental illness. If it's true, if Britney, you know, is bipolar or something, and she's like making this outlet on Instagram, like her creative outlet where she shows off her new outfits and stuff, and then people are making fun of the way she looks, and she thinks she looks cute. So I definitely think that that's damaging if that is true.
And going to the mental illness, I mean, it's something that I don't want to get into. I think that it's very real. But I will say, and this is morbid and I hate even talking about this, but I think that if she did not have a conservativeship, we would not have Britney. And so I think
that was my thought before going into this podcast as well.
And you guys think about it. It would be an Amy Winehouse situation. It's, you know, Britney is one of the most famous women in the world, the most recognizable face. People adore her. They love her. And I 100% believe that she is so lucky to have the family that she has. And she knows that. That's why she's not fighting back. I think that deep down, you know, they say that a lot of people will forever be exactly who they were at the pinnacle of their career, right? Or the pinnacle of their success. And I think that Brittany is
14. Yeah,
I think Brittany's 17 years old in her head. And I think that what all these people are doing, it's really, really damaging. And if you're a true fan, let the police, let people find out what's really going on. But if you're a true fan, you just need to heart, love you, Brittany. You look amazing. Hope you're doing well. Because you're not going to figure it out with a hashtag. If this was serious, it would have been dealt with a long time ago. She would have gone on her Instagram and just literally looked at the camera and been like, help me, and push send and put it to her Instagram. It's like, that's why I'm just like, this thing, I do get fired up. And I think it's partly because of coronavirus and lockdown. You know, we're all in our house. And I think everyone's fucking spiraling right now and just looking for conspiracies. And it just drives me crazy. It's like, cut it out, you guys. There's so many bigger things going on in the world. But I mean, this is fun and it's an interesting conversation. But I think the real conversation here, why I even want to talk to you guys, is it's like, I think people would be really shocked to realize that Hollywood's not this big myth that everyone thinks it is. It's really hard to keep a secret in Hollywood. It just matters. It just depends if like a publicist says to their client, like, hey, you got to go address this rumor. You know, we've got to take care of this or whatever. But beyond that, Brittany's sitting at home. She doesn't really understand Free Britney. She doesn't understand what people are talking about. And the rest of the family, it's not a big priority. Why go fight it down? It's just kind of like, okay, cool. Let them all spiral and talk about it. It keeps it relevant. And I just really think that's what it comes down to.
I think my thoughts are like, it's like, well, then what about like the Me Too hashtag? It's like if cops would go out and just go figure it out and everyone would just be believed. It's like, here was this whole movement. Here was this whole secret in Hollywood that didn't come out till years later, you know? So
yeah, I see that, but that's like big groups of people. And that's my thing too. I mean, I love women. I want women to rule the world. And so like Me Too was like a big thing for me. And I was really, really into that. But that was groups of people. And those were secrets that were benefiting other people. When people start comparing those things, I get a little uncomfortable because I'm like, it's not the same. We're talking about one single person. And it's like, you've got to think, everyone makes Hollywood such a big deal. It'd be like, okay, I live with my sister. Let's say all of a sudden I decided that I want to be in charge of my sister and I want to hide her from the world and control her. At some point, like my mom or an aunt of mine or a cousin is going to come expose the whole situation. It's really easy to expose the situation, especially with someone as famous as Britney Spears. It's just not happening. It's not real. I mean, I'm telling you guys, as far as that goes, like, it's impossible.
Oh, I'm super fascinated by your side, your opinion on this, especially since it's the polar opposite of the guest that we just had. And I think it's a great balance and it allows people to think more critically about it and what they think is going on. Not that you're right. It's not really our business. What do you think about Lynn Spears getting all involved right now? Because I think that was one of the big reasons that it's kind of gotten steam again, is because her mom is wanting to take a little bit more, trying to get either financial control.
I know what you're saying and I love it. And these are like really good questions. The one thing that I haven't said yet is we're talking about a family from Louisiana, the middle of Louisiana, right? So it's like, Ashley, you know, it's like, I know that you're really close with your parents. I'm sure there's drama within your family that if all of a sudden you were worth a ton of money and you kind of started going off the deep end and your family was dealing with it, you guys as a family would get really tight and quiet about how to deal with it. But then let's say your parents divorced and then all of a sudden your mom wanted to have control of Ashley, but you know, there's things that are happening within the family that has come out, but people aren't paying attention to it. It's like a parent war, you know, I wish I could say so much. There's so much to this stuff where it's like, I stand here right now, just be like, honest to God, this is the biggest load of shit in the world. And it's like, but you can't say it because the people around are also like, you have respect for the situation. You know, it's like, I do know Jamie Lynn, you know, and it's like, I can say that I've been with Jamie and I've seen her texting with Brittany. this isn't real. It's really, really fake. And it's like, because the family doesn't want to expose stuff, they don't need to. So it's just kind of like, hopefully it's going to die off. It's not going to die off because the internet has become such a dark, weird place. When they were saying that Lynn was liking posts, I remember that, by the way. And that was a long time ago, like the beginning of this stuff, like when it really started coming out. No one understood what Free Britney meant. It literally, like, so people were liking, I was liking shit, I was commenting on it, like, but then once people start realizing what they were saying, everyone's like, oh wait, this is kind of weird. So it's like, all these facts are so, I mean, I was looking at somebody sent me this article recently, and I was looking at it, it was saying, you know, like, even her songs have been a cry for help. You know, all of her song lyrics, if you like start to really pay attention to them, like, she's wanted to be freed. I'm like, you guys are fucking knuckleheads. She doesn't write that. You know, yeah. And the other thing to think about, her team picked those songs. So it's like, if there's any sort of conspiracy going on here, and I'm not going to go deep into this one, the conspiracy is that, like, they're in on it. They know what's going on. They know what to kind of put out there. You know, it's
a conspiracy on a conspiracy. Yeah.
That's a real conspiracy. And then the other thing that I want to say, I feel like people always look at people who are in Hollywood or have any sort of fame, and they just assume that they are the richest people in the world, right? Ashley, I'm sure you can go back to your hometown and people are like, oh my God, Ashley's loaded. She's in Hollywood. And she's been on TV. And you're a different version of it. The thing with Britney, because people are like, you know, when people talk about what Britney's worth, of course she's worth a lot of money. But when you're Taylor Swift or you're Katy Perry and you're writing your own songs, that's money.
Yes.
Then when things open up, you're making a lot of money. And Britney's not making a lot of money anymore. The people who wrote her songs, and unfortunately, she got started so young and probably in bad deals. And you know why Taylor Swift is also so rich? Her parents are really freaking smart. They watched all of her contracts and everything. Again, all of Britney's contracts started when she was super, super young. Her parents were managing her. Like, this stuff isn't that hard if you really start paying attention to what it is. Like, come on. Like, you know, it's so I don't know, when people talk about how much money she's worth, she's never wrote one of her songs. You know, like, people who wrote her songs are making a crap load of money. And she was making her money when she was on tour. And I'll tell you this much, when you have a divorce and you have to pay the baby daddy,
she pays him $40,000 a month.
At least.
Yeah, you're paying out a lot of money. So it's like, and the team is around her being like, hey, Brittany, we know you're a pop star. You know, the biggest deal in the world, but like, money runs out. We've all, you know, MC Hammer, huge, no money, went bankrupt. You know, it's really easy to spend money when you're a pop star. So it's like, thank God someone's watching her money, because Brittany would go on a yacht and be like, I want one of these for my pool. You know, like, I mean, the way she wants to spend money. I mean, I can relate. I don't even touch my own money. You know, I have my own company and I don't do my own bills. And sometimes that's better when you're a creative person. So people just got to think the whole thing through. But then also, this is just fun for a lot of people. A lot of people, the Free Britney thing is like, it's fun and it's like chatter, and I think people are bored. But
there was a protest today or some kind of gathering outside the courthouse that her conservatory hearing was at today. And I wonder how many people who are hashtagging Free Britney are actually at that gathering. You know, maybe it's just fun for them while they're on TikTok, but not enough to go out and protest with each other.
That's the other thing, is I think that the internet makes it seem a lot bigger than it is. Britney has crazy diehard fans. I'm a crazy diehard fan. But if you really start going into it, it's like I was saying earlier, it's like this like weird dark tunnel you start to go down, where these people like that love conspiracies, and it's fun. Trust me, it's fun to sit around with your friends and you're like, oh, but what if this is happening? Oh my God, I heard that this was happening. And it's fun, I get it. I'm just here to talk to you guys, just being like, it's not real. And by the way, if something crazy came out, all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, I hope that this gets exposed, whatever it is. But I can honestly say, like, I've been around a lot of people that who are related to this situation, and everyone just kind of like rolls their eyes. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy.
I love the diverse.
I love it too. Me too.
It's so polarizing.
I'm so into stuff like this, where you have two completely different views. But do you think that in any way the conservatorship should be lessened? Because like, it does basically say they could pump in whatever drugs they want, and they can like physically restrain her and all that. Like, do you think that 12 years after it originated, like, it could possibly be lessened? She can get more money every year and all that.
I mean, of course, for Britney's sake, if that is the situation, of course, for her, and because I'm a fan of her, I want her to be happy, and I hope that she has some freedom. But for a close to 40-year-old woman worth millions of dollars, for her to be able to be controlled like that, there is a whole team of different doctors at different points that are fucking scared to be sued, that are doing the work, seeing what's happening. Like, I think that this is all happening because it needs to happen. And I think that it also scares me that everyone's fighting about this. If it weren't for the family and the conservatorship, I don't think that we would have Britney. I really, really don't. I think you think about a Marilyn Monroe. There's a certain type of personality that becomes famous because they should. You know, anyone that's ever met Britney Spears in person says that when she looks into your eyes, it's like, she's stunning. She's so full of life. She's so sweet. And you can see why she's a star just naturally, you know, but that also comes with its price. I mean, you look at somebody like Marilyn Monroe, these people who die at such a young age, you know, it's a hard life, something that we will never understand. And she, from day one, was never comfortable with it. I mean, go back on her interview. She hated everyone paying attention to her every move. Instagram is so fun for her. She doesn't see anyone. She sits in her house, does a dance, puts down her phone, and goes back to whatever she wants. You know, it's like, trust me, if she was supposed to be like out on tour, or I can't go into all those details, but like.
But I guess to play devil's advocate, what about like Michael Jackson? Like, he had a doctor overseeing everything that went into his body, and he basically drugged him to death.
Yeah, but remember, that was Michael Jackson asking for it. I mean, remember, Michael Jackson was saying that he wanted more. He wasn't under a conservatorship. And I think that somebody like Michael Jackson, those worlds are tied together, and people look at that situation and they don't want that to happen to Britney. I think Britney is so freaking protected, and I'm thankful that she's protected.
Wow. Well, thank you for this perspective.
So much.
I honestly can't wait to just go in and do a little more digging myself, like after hearing both of these perspectives, because they are so polar opposite.
I can see both too. Like, I can be here. I can honestly be here and nod at both.
Yeah.
I just don't know. We don't know these people.
The thing that really hit me, Justin, was when you said if Ashley got like hella famous rich and our parents got a divorce, there would obviously be a pull, you know? Like, that's family drama at its core.
There's family drama, and the reason that a lot of things aren't talked about is because you don't want your family drama to be aired. And then I do 100% believe that we all know there's a mental illness going on here. And I think that we're talking about a girl. I love Britney. This is in no way making fun of her, but I do think that she's kind of stuck at a certain point in her life. And I think that, you know, there are some people who can't take care of themselves. And so, I don't know. I don't know. I still don't even, like, what are people saying, though, that they're like, it's just an interesting thing. I try
There's so much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Justin, thank you so much for coming on. Everything has been fascinating. I've been so enthralled for the past hour and 42 minutes. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for being open to doing this.
Thanks for coming on, Justin.
Please make sure that it's in there that, like, I, honest to God, come from a place of love. Like, I love Britney. I also love the fact that her fans are standing up for her. I just come from a place of being around a lot of Hollywood people in different circles. I just think that rumors get spread so fast, and people need to realize that it's not that secretive. But please, everyone, know that, like, I come from a place of love, and if these fans are doing the work that needs to be done, I hope that it's done. I just don't really believe it.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely conveyed.
All right, guys. Well, there you go.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't get it.
Podcast.